Welcome back to another episode of Penny Help Jess. Today is episode 567. And I do a penny roll a day. The object is to identify penny roll errors, separate copper from zinc, and I guess have a pretty thoughtful discussion with myself about something. Sometimes it's about pennies, sometimes it's not. Today it'll be about pennies. You know, I'm looking at the nose. I had to look at that under the loop. Hardly ever find any doubling on the face. No, it's just a little notch, I think. It's funny, that looks like a little notch, and then above the nose, there's a line that looks like the nose. So that's so odd. I'm pretty sure none of this is doubling. You see what I'm saying? Above the nose, there's another little line that looks like the nose, and on the nose, there's a line that looks a little notch that looks like Dublin, but I don't think any of it's anything. That's hilarious. So for I don't know what is it, 166 years, something like that, 66, something like 166 years. There has been a United States small penny or small cent. I just want to feel like it's so heavy. Let me weigh it. Got my new chair coming soon. It won't be as squeaky. Sure, it's not heavy, but it sure does feel heavy. It's weird. Not. Oh, around the nose. All right. Whatever. And 160 years, 1959, right? The first Indian head cent. I believe that was the first small cent. So, for longer, our first copper penny, for longer than anyone has been alive and longer than anyone has ever lived, there's been, let me look at that on the loop. Probably not any doubling. Probably not. And I do see a little something like a little smoothing out of the numbers to the right, but who knows? Even look at that on next to the face. Some blending. Anyway, we got a penny. 2009. That's a beat up one, huh? All right. And for 140 of those years, 100 and something like 159 to 182, 100 and 159, excuse me, 1859 to 1982, 120, 3 of those years. The penny was copper, and And it had some kind of a value to it. Another 1972. That's odd. And this one has that little mark there on the little corner of the 2. And it's just a notch. And then they said, oh, we're going to go to zinc, which has some value. Just wow, what a beauty. What a beauty, man. I don't know if that's it looks like a small date to me. If someone said that's a large date, I wouldn't be surprised though. What a stunner, man. What a stunner. Nice surprise. You know, I showed some pennies, I think in yesterday's video, the day before, the 560 episode 565. If you look at the thumbnail only, or you could, if you didn't watch the video, check it out. All you gotta do is type 565 into the channel's search bar. So one of the pennies we found, was corroded. I mean, to the point where parts of the penny were disintegrated. And that's just to show you, the value of zinc. Meanwhile, copper penny, you can find Indian head pennies, and they'll still be intact. It's one of those reasons why I'm skeptical of buying graded zinc cents. Especially in the encapsulation, I can see moisture building up or something like that. But a copper penny, it could just change colors, get brown or something like that, which doesn't really matter. It's basically around forever, so I like that. Misaligned die. I like that aspect about copper pennies, is that they're like, true coins. I think I forgot which country it was, Soviet Union, but one of them started making like aluminum. It's out 2017. Started making aluminum coins. You're talking about worthless, because they devalued their currency so much that they couldn't make the change in anything that had value. They had to go to whatever they had lying around, basically, for the country. It's horrible. Or maybe were even given by another country, whatever the case may be. I don't know what the whole history is, but a bunch of countries did it back. They were using copper and steel for wars and for making real stuff, right? Stuff with value. I mean, that tells you everything about the value of metal, what they use it for. Yeah, aluminum's used for stuff. To wrap your sandwiches in. But copper and steel, have much more utilitarian utilization in the world. They're stronger than aluminum. And next year is the last year of the penny, 2026. Eric said that they have the new design out and everything. Eric's one of my most active and knowledgeable channel members. And that'll be it. Coin collectors will be witnessing a point in history. In United States history, where that'll be it, for a certain denomination, basically as a result of inflation and devaluation of the currency, right? Because this is currency, and this is the devaluation of currency. And it got to the point where it's so worthless that it doesn't even make sense to make it. And there's going to come a point in my life and many people's lives where, unless you're very, very old, where you're going to, 20 years from now, you're going to meet younger people, and they may never have ever used a penny, maybe have never even held a penny. And unless they have an interest in the subject, or it's taught in history or something like that, or they find one somehow, the word penny itself might just become a word that is just not used very often, and might just fall out of, oh yeah, remember when there was that thing called the pen, like people's, at one point, one day, people are probably going to talk about it, like, what's a penny? Imagine that. Somebody one day is going to say what, and they say, hey, look at this, and they're going to say, what's a penny? Look at this. And things like this, finding copper pennies in this type of condition, it's a wrap, man. It's over. And we found two, which is so amazing. I've never found a 60 and a 60D in this condition in one roll. These might be 50-cent pennies. This one might be, I'm not sure. Usually they make more D's, Denver's, than they do Philadelphia's. That's been my experience. Anyway, that's pretty wild. And finding money, and, finding pennies in your mattress and all that. Just the whole concept of what it means to have a penny in your life. That's over very shortly. Let me look at that. Boy, does that look like a strike through. It is so clean around the edges. I find it hard to believe that something made that mark on that minute mark right there. Are there little dots on the side? Oh, there are little marks on the side. I was going to say, and there's like nothing around it at all to indicate there are marks on the side. There's a little dot on each side of that. What is that? Is that a bag mark? There's no way that's a bag mark. It's too perfect, even though there are two little dots on the side like bag marks. Wow. All this time looking at it, and it's worthless, but it is cool looking though. I don't know what that is. I'll put it to the side. And oh man, when I was a kid, I remember bringing pennies to the store to buy potato chips and juice drinks. They were both 25 cents. So if I got my hands on 50 pennies, I had a little snack. Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me tell you, freaking pennies were more part of my life as a childhood than should be a part of anybody's childhood. Let's just put it like that. They were part of my childhood. If I found a penny, they went in my pocket. It was, I mean, they were really considered money to me when I was a kid. Like for Rizzles. No flinching. All right. Well, little thoughtful discussion today. Anyone who's still here, hopefully you clicked like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And it'll be a pretty interesting time, once there's no more of these. God bless.